bonjour, bonjour, comment allez-vous? How is everybody? We're so glad to see you, and if you're new, hey, we welcome you and we love that you are here. But anyway, if this is your first time, you know, in our usual fashion, what we do, this is grown and sexy, so we toast it up. So everybody, if you know, you're supposed to have your drink. So right now, here's to everybody on the live. And we hope you had a great week so far, and we're here to make it better, all right? That was good, I'm telling you. And look, this weather is my ideal weather now. It's not that hot, it's kind of cooling off, so I love it. And I hope y'all are comfortable as I am. But anyway, last week we talked about what do you find the most valuable in your relationship? What is a deal breaker? What are the values that you must have? We ain't going to talk about it too much tonight because we've got a doozy for you. We've got a great topic that we're going to discuss. And that topic is this: Has social media made our lives better or made them worse? We're going to have a good discussion about this tonight because I know we got mixed feelings on it. I've got mixed emotions about this social media thing because I'm old school. But anyway, we're going to find out how you all feel. And we're glad to have you all here. So let me go ahead and bring my co-host on so we can get started. And again, like I said, we hope you had a great week because that's what our design is. Our design, we don't talk about nonsense. We talk about things that matter, okay? Hey, Miss O'Neill.
Hey,
Uh-oh, you sound like you down in the dumps. What's happening?
I ain't finna tell y'all because I don't want to talk about the Pied Piper and Ben and them. But okay, I'm good.
The Pied Piper.
Mm-hmm. Got some
Oh, I don't know what
scared
you mean
now.
by
I
that.
thought I had saw. I thought I had saw one of Ben and them cousins in here. Y'all remember the Michael Jackson song Ben? Who he be talking about?
Oh,
Don't
okay. You talking
manifest.
about
Don't say the
rats.
word. Don't say the
Oh, you
word.
talking about rats.
I said don't say the word.
Oh, I'm
Crazy.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
What's going on, Keith?
What up, family? How y'all?
We good, man. Miss O'Neill jump on here talking about rats and
I
being.
said don't say the word, and you keep saying the word.
Hey,
All right, well, I'm
they having a
sorry.
big they having a big rat problem in New York right now. So rats.
They always had
Keep
a
telling y'all
problem with
don't say
rats
the
in New
word, and
York.
y'all keep saying the word. Hush.
You'll be
Ugh.
all right.
All
Hey,
right.
down south, they small anyway. In New York,
Nope. Nope. Yeah. All right. When y'all hear about me on I-20,
all right, Miss O'Neill, we gonna leave it alone then, since you don't want us to say the RAT word for whatever reason.
Jesus, they don't help us. Jesus, they ain't fixing
Yeah. Well, what's up, Keith? Hey, I saw your comment. I'll get to with you after the live. All right.
It's all good. Yeah. No, it's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
I know you busy, big homie. It's all good. I'll
yeah,
just, Yep.
yeah. But you good up there in Jersey, man? Everything
Yep.
good?
Weather changing. Football season tomorrow, baby. Eagles, Cowboys,
Oh,
opening night.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all wrapped up forward too, man. This is gonna be a good year this year.
This
I
football
got
season is
my
gonna be
good
great.
glasses ready for that game.
What'd you
Huh?
say?
I got my good glasses ready for that
Oh,
game.
this is gonna be big. Look, what Jerry Jones doing trading Micah Parsons away? What is wrong with him, man? That's
You,
that plantation mentality, dog.
well, you know
Like,
how it goes, man. We don't ever know what's happening behind the scenes, but we're gonna let the
come on, man. I don't care what's going on. He's nobody but him and like Reggie White did like 12 sacks a season they first 4 seasons. You don't trade that type. You don't trade that type of player, man. That's like Dallas trading Luka Doncic. Like, come
at
on,
the
man.
end of the day, when we peel back that onion, it's gonna always come down to the money, man.
And that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Falcons gonna be good. Your Atlanta Falcons gonna be good this year.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, I ain't no Falcons fan.
Hell, they wasn't good at that last game, and I'm mad at them still about
Oh, that's
Mike.
right. You like the Patriots, right, Mr. G?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
Patriots. Okay, you got Drake May. Yeah, you got Drake May at quarterback right now. Okay.
Yeah, I go to all the Falcons games because we got the box suite and whatnot, and I'm the only one there cheering against them. I don't care who they play. It could be the worst scrub team, man. I'm hollering, you know. But you know, and the
Except
only
when
reason
they play New Orleans.
I feel that way, Keith, is because you know I was a very, very faithful Falcons fan when Mike Vick was there, and even before
Oh,
him. But I felt that you know, and people
Andre
talk.
Rison time. Wasn't Andre Rison was there at one point? Well, yeah, all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
him and Left Eye burning the crib down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they did him a dirty deal, so I kind of jumped off the bandwagon, man. But it's
When Mike
always
Vick was in Atlanta, he changed football at that point. I mean, you saw endorsement deals change. Mike Vick, man, he put
oh,
Atlanta. Woo! The
oh
Falcons
yeah.
was well, that was crazy, man, when he was there.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had the whole city on his back, man, and I just don't think that they represented him well when he got into that little situation. But
Exactly.
it is what it is. But anyway, let's get on. Okay, look, on to our discussion, man. I like this because it's controversial, but as you know, if you follow us, we always have a different angle that we bring this stuff to. And it only is to open up your eyes and make you think about things that you ordinarily would not think about, or forget about the things that you were conditioned to believe and think. So here we go. The big question is, has social media made our lives better or made them worse? You know, examples from the positive perspective, it gives us access to information very, very quickly. On the downside, it has a lot of comparisons being made that are fictitious, and people who are really not seasoned, and when I say seasoned, I mean mentally seasoned to understand things, they fall into a trap of making those comparisons, and then their lives become dwarfed based on what they believe they see on social media. Now, I know all of you have seen people, everybody flossing, everybody showing all of this, particularly with jewelry, money, you know, all this fake money and all of these different things, prop money that they use. Now, somebody who doesn't understand that or who is mature enough to understand, they may get in their feelings about it because they feel that, okay, I'm less than because I'm not making that kind of money. I'm a rapper and I'm not really getting that kind of exposure and making that kind of money and got all the cars, the women, and all of those different things. So from that perspective, it could be very bad. Now, I want to attack it from a perspective that's very important. And those things have to do with conditioning and life skills. Life skills. So I'm going to be attacking it from there. Now, in the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s, children spent a lot of time outside. I know my kids, they rode their bikes, they fell off, they busted their teeth, and all of that different stuff. That forms life skills. Those things and events form life skills, and it teach you how to get up again and try again. And the reason I'm saying that because I'm going to make the comparison between the millenniums and what we have going on in the 2000s, because I think it is to the detriment of a lot of people. All right, particularly our children. Listen, playing and growing and developing, that's part of life. That's necessary for us to mature, for us to reach each level in our lives, from childhood to adolescence to young adults and to adults. So it's all part of the human experience and our connectivity with each other. Now, Generation X has removed that somewhat. Now, I'm ready to argue because I know a lot of people are going to have a different opinion. We don't argue. We have a good, intelligent debate on our forum. So that's my perspective. I think that they've removed it because technology now owns our children. They own our children. There's not a child around that don't have a cell phone or what do you call those things? A little pad, iPad, or whatever they use. But there's some type of device that's in, I don't even know, I haven't done the research to see what the numbers are to get statistics, but everywhere I go, even my grandkids who are 4 years old now, they have their own iPad. They use that to occupy their time. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that times have changed and we have to use what's available to us. And the advancement of people involves the technology that's being created as we grow and grow and grow. All I'm saying is that there has to be a balance between putting some grass under your feet, falling down, running around, and the technology. That's just the way I feel. That's why I say technology nowadays, it owns our children and it owns some of our adults as well. You see more adults that spend a lot of time on social media, to include myself, but I know how to wean off when I need to wean off, when I see that it's getting too excessive. There's some people that don't have that discipline and they don't have that control. So social media becomes their life. Now, we as humans, we need to touch, feel, share our food, laugh, and flirt with each other as a part of our growth and development. We have to touch each other. We have to feel each other. And I ain't talking sexually, DeGeorgia, before you start laughing and whatnot. I'm just saying we have to touch and have that connectivity in order for us to grow. Now, we can make comparisons to top countries. Japan, who leads the world in technology, China, they still have a balance more so than the United States, even though they lead the entire world in technology. So they figured it out. I think here in the United States, we haven't really got to the point where it's that important to us. But I don't know why, because we see that our obesity rate is getting bigger. Our inactivity for our children is getting larger, and the life skills are not as they were. And I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people probably hadn't paid attention to, but it is the truth. And it's going to be something that's going to open your eyes. But before I do that, DeJoya or Keith, y'all want to chime in real quick? You want me to continue?
No, I mean, you can go ahead on. I was stuck on the touching and feeling folks
All
and
right.
stuff. Yeah, I had
You
my,
funny.
yeah.
No, hey, when you said in the beginning the topic, the first thing I could think is that it depends on the demographic. So a
Right.
demographic like mine, I'm in my 40s. So I didn't grow up with a cell phone. I didn't grow up with technology. I want to say I remember playing Atari when I was like real little. Atari, the 2600, I think it was, with the joystick, all that stuff. But my first real video game was like Nintendo, the first Nintendo. You know what I mean? So, I had the Mike Tyson's Punch Out, all that. But the point of what I'm saying is we used our brain. We didn't have calculators. You're allowed to bring them into class. Everything that you did was all person to person. Your fun, you made your own fun. We played outside. We rode bikes. We played football, baseball, basketball. We ran races, freeze
Absolutely.
tag. I mean, everything that you could think of. And when it snowed, you want to go outside, throw snowballs, build snow forts. Like everything that we did was all physical activity. And I'm an athlete anyway.
Right.
So we made our own fun. We interacted with our friends. We had real relationships. We knew how to talk. We knew how to sign cursive. We knew how to do these things. The younger demographic is the one who's getting hit the worst because the technology has taken away their independent thinking. They rely on the technology to think for them. A lot of
Hey,
people,
I'm
and some
glad you
older
said
people
that.
too, and some
Well,
older people too. Go ahead, DeJoya.
well, a lot of people gonna get mad at me, but lunch lady, I'm on lunch lady duty right now. I got the juice, not the tea, baby. Um, but I what I want to say is that we missing parents. Parents don't want to be parents. So you literally, I see a lot of people doing that trend on TikTok, putting the kid in front of the camera and being like, "Hey, would y'all watch my baby for me?" The first thing is the internet is, and the good side to the internet is that you can find valuable information on it if you look and if you have common sense to know what's good information and bad information. And some people don't know how to do that. Some people don't have the common sense. I feel like from the standpoint, like if it was a library, how we used to use the microfilm and we could put in, find good information. Yeah, but they let you put everything on the internet. So now let me get to my point. Got that
And
out
talk
the way.
about the
But
library with the microfilm and the
yeah,
microfiche. I think it was
microfilm
called
and the card
microfiche too.
catalog
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah,
of that stuff,
yeah.
and
Don't talk
those
about that, yo.
archival newspapers. But I will say this, and I'm going to attack it from a parent standpoint, an educational standpoint, a nutritional standpoint, and a spiritual or faith based standpoint. As a parent, we don't have the parents that used to be parents. I believe, within my age group, and some of us I have to check on, past that, there aren't real parents anymore. You'd rather give your parent, your child an iPad or a computer and say, here, go play this game, or, oh, I'm going to cut your screen time off if you do this and if you do that. No, if my kids did something and it was so out of touch, and you could ask both my children this, I would pack their room up. I would take a day off, pack their room up, and they come back to the cover and a pillow. Okay, and no light because I'd screw the light bulb out. So the consequence now, oh, if you don't behave, I'm gonna take your iPad for you for 5 minutes. No, that game was gone for days. Things like that. And these days, parents are scared to be parents, so they just give the children the internet. And then they allow them to do things that you would say would be unbecoming, if they did it one on one in front of you. But then because they want the likes and this and that, then it's okay. Um, from a educational standpoint, it can handicap you because instead of you picking up a book to read, a long time ago, Whoopi Goldberg told us that's how come black people miss a lot of stuff because they run stuff across the bottom of the screen. So we don't read everything. You just want to hit the surface and miss everything else, But that's true for the whole America. We
Yeah.
don't want to dive into things. We don't want to read. We don't want to research. We got lazy. Hence, we
Well,
have the obesity. Go ahead.
and you're right. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want to make this point. I think that sometimes most of it has to do with being conditioned. And that's the reason I wanted to talk about this because I'm telling you, people better start paying attention. You know,
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. And if the world goes down in
It's all
technology,
by design. It's all by design.
yeah,
absolutely.
well,
Yeah.
that's what I be saying on my page. Nothing happens by mistake. Everything happens by design. Nothing happens by mistake. And they know that the internet has handicapped us. It's so many kids like past my son's age, Hemi, who's turning 21, they stopped cursive. So we had to teach him how to
Yeah, yeah.
sign his
Cursive.
name. Now
Yes.
they're bringing back cursive. It's so many kids because they've put them in the digital world. They don't know how to tell time by a real clock,
Yep.
things like that. And they're doing this to detach us from things that are really meaningful, things that we really need to pay attention to.
Hey, remember
If the
map skills? Remember map skills?
yeah,
Remember learning how to
so
read the map?
you
Map
don't do that
skills?
no
Remember
more.
that?
You just use the GPS. And then
Yep.
from a developmental point, and things like that. A lot of times, the reason why kids have, developed autistic signs of different disabilities or whatever is because we have the internet. You spend more screen time, so you don't develop your brain. What's gonna happen? You lose it. You don't use it. You lose it. And then they talk about what you talking about. We get out and play and this and that. Do you know that's the reason why the obesity factor among children have increased? Because we just forgot the outside. And I hate to sound like an infomercial, but y'all, it's true. And people would rather give their kids the chicken nuggets and the fast thing and say, okay, well, you can watch TV rather than sit at the dinner table with a good meal or less cook, less this. And the thing you said about China, everybody talks about China. And this is what I'm gonna say, y'all. You gotta wake up and pay attention. That Sister Act song gonna go somewhere when be somebody wake up, pay attention. Because all of the lessons within China, and I've studied that and I've watched that, they have half of the day where they go and they have instructional learning. And it ain't even half of the day. They have 2 or 3 hours maybe that they have instructional learning, and then the rest of it is hands-on stuff. They teach them how to farm, teach them how to cook, incorporate all of that into the lesson so the child is actually learning it, not committing it to memory for it to be tossed
Yeah.
out. So I
And
think
not only that, think about this, the different there's a difference in the curriculum.
mm-hmm,
We don't teach our children about finance and being financially uh,
sound.
empowered. We
Now
don't.
now wait a minute now that went out the door with now hold on, that's true. But when Hemi was in school, and I say that because he was the last baby, like they had a Chick-fil-A academy where they could go to junior Silverton and all those junior beta club and all that, and they taught you how to actually balance a checkbook. They taught you how to actually
Yeah,
do,
but
you
that's
know
the
what I'm saying?
exception,
So
though.
it's
That's
gone.
not taught in the
Yeah, but no, that's what
curriculum
I'm
of
saying.
the school.
That's gone now.
Right. I mean, even then, what I'm getting at, DeJoy, when we talk about other countries that are leading in technology and being brilliant and great explorers, they have that integrated into their curriculum for all people. They don't have to go to a private school to get to learn about financial literacy. We teach math, writing, and arithmetic, right? So if we're talking to our young people and we know that once they graduate from college or go to uh, a different educational level, we know at some point you're going to have to know how to balance a checkbook. You're going to know how to count money. You're going to have to know about credit. All of these things are not instilled. So I'm saying that on the other side of the globe, they have this already. This formula is already built in. But back to what I was saying. Yeah, we need to touch and feel each other. We have to have that connectivity.
Mhm.
We can't experience those things playing video games. The children from Generation X, and this is the one where I did my research, and this is the generation that they did the most studying on. For the most part, they don't even get outside anymore. Once they get out of school, what do? They camp out in front of the TV, get a bag of chips, and get their consoles and start playing. It's interactive with all of their friends. They're discussing what time they're going to get on and play Mortal Kombat or whatever they play nowadays. So we have to understand that that's creating a big black hole, and the technology has sucked our children into it because it's something that's popular. And if you don't do it, then you're going to be the outcast, right? If you don't have a console when your friends come over, you're going to be the ridicule of the school. So it's something that you can't get around. But what we can do, we can discipline our children and limit the time that they spend on these video games and on their cell phones,
But I
and
got
be
a
sure
question.
they get
I got a
outside.
question. How you gonna do that when? And I'm going. And it's gonna be some teachers that are gonna be mad at me. But how do you do that when everything in school is go get your Chromebook? This lesson is on a Chromebook. This I get it. I get it about the technology. I get it that that's the way the world going. And I'm not saying that that's not necessary, but that is why that is a big factor. The internet has caused a big dip. Even in educational or the education and the expectations of teachers and stuff like that. Why do my child need to go learn 3 or 4 lessons on a Chromebook? Why is it that everything is done on a Chromebook? Why can't you pick up a pencil and write it and this and that? So that's another thing. That's crazy, and a lot of people don't know that. Just about every class the kids deal in, they do lessons on the Chromebook. What do we need a teacher for? You know what I'm saying? So, and I mean that a lot of people might argue and say that helps them grow, with the technology and this, that, and the third. But I gotta go back to old school with that too. We need teachers in the classroom that's actually
Yeah.
showing them teaching and interacting. They don't
Well,
even know how to interact.
well, we know that it puts our children at a disadvantage, but there's the flip side to that. We have adults who are engaged with a lot uh, of social media activities as well. The problem with the children is that they are less likely to engage in sports or outdoor activities because technology, believe it or not, technology is just like a drug. It is addictive. If you spend too much time on it, you're going to become addicted to it. And they have studies that have and research that have proved that. Now, so it's no different from doing eating all the time or drinking all the time. It's an addiction, and it sucks our youth up quickly because it's innocent. Now, of course, the monitoring is there to kind of give you parental control over certain things like pornography and real graphic things that happen. You can set those controls, but it still doesn't take away the need for them to have that uh, iPad or that cell phone. So they still got it in their hands, right? There are beautiful and realistic things that are created with this artificial intelligence. I looked at a picture today as before we came on of a friend of mine, and it looked just like it. And he had to point out, no, Mr. G, the one on the right, that's with AI. The other one is really me. So it's getting to the point where things are so uh, they are enticing because they're so interactive and they look beautiful and they're very, very attractive to particularly young people. So when you got that kind of competition, it's hard to go back to the old school saying, okay, get outside and run around because the children are really not hearing it. And then society has already set it up and conditioned them to where don't pay attention to any of that. Now, there's a small segment of people who are actually still engaged with outside activity because we still got football, basketball, and all those different sports. But as the masses become more addicted to social media, we're losing our edge. We're losing our children being able to think. And even if they do think, they aren't thinking constructively for the betterment of their lives. You got some children out there that can whoop you in chess and all these different games because they've mastered the technology and the algorithms and they know how it works. So, but we're talking life skills, those things that are necessary to sustain us. Listen, now these are statistics. I'm not going to call any numbers out, but statistically, boys have fallen behind. Now, we all know that girls mature faster than boys. That's been proven many, many, many years ago. here's the interesting thing. This is what the studies show. And I'm inclined to believe it because I see the divorce rate. I see how young men treat women. I see how they are disrespectful in a lot of cases. So this statistic simply says that they are less likely to make good fathers and husbands. That's crazy. Or be mechanically inclined. That's a crazy statistic for someone to surmise based on the information that they've gathered that boys now, Gen X, this generation, are less likely to become good fathers and husbands. You know, back in the day, you had one or two, oh yeah, he's a drunk, or this guy is this, he ain't gonna ever amount to nothing. But the majority of people, and men in particular, they didn't have that stigma attached to them. So that's very concerning for me. And I think people, again, you need to pay attention because there's a reason why these things are happening. So what does that do to the women? They don't have anybody to choose from because these guys, according to the statistics, these aren't me. This is not me. They are more interested in the technology, in the gaming, in all the different things that they can do online or through the use of the internet. That's how they create their fictitious worlds that they live in. And I get it. What that does, it makes them feel more comfortable. The internet makes it very, very easy for people who have ill intent or who are cowards to act anonymously. So if you had a guy that was fearful when you were going to high school, that internet is giving them power. Now, so that market suffers because the skill set of basic manual skills such as auto mechanics, woodworking, or simply changing the oil in a car or changing a tire. They surveyed all of these different things, all of those 4 different categories, and they're saying that the men today cannot even do that. I can't imagine my son not being able to change the oil in the car because I taught him. Or changing a tire. You got to call AAA to change a tire. That's crazy. I just don't get it. Now, so we rely on the social media and the internet for all of our information. And I'm not bashing it because I use it too. I told you all several weeks ago, my son introduced me to Chat GPT, and I haven't looked at Google since then. But most of us, everything is either Chat GPT or Google. Now, here's the most important thing. Social media has shaped our opinions, attitudes, and our lives and beliefs. It influences how we perceive ourselves and others. See, that's what I'm most concerned with. Listen, when you start looking at social media, if you're not a strong individual, and if you don't have a high level of self-esteem, or was reared in an environment where you were loved and felt that you were important, social media will have you, it'll push you to the edge. because you're making a comparison with other people, whether or not it may be true or not. It provides information that reinforces certain stereotypes. That's what social media does. It provides information, and it can influence and reinforce certain stereotypes and exaggerate images of people from different backgrounds. So if you look at it this way, if everybody in your school is successful, are all your friends that you don't see anymore because you don't have that interaction, or if you do, it's very little. So you see how they're living on social media. You see what they're presenting to the world. And if you make the comparison and you don't have that it factor in you where it don't bother you, it will have you feeling like you are less than or you are not worthy because they are all successful or they are presenting themselves to be successful. So that's why we say those images are often exaggerated. It has changed how we enter into and how we foster our relationship. The biggest issue is the comparison we make to others. Because of this, girls' suicide rate has drastically increased. Now, you know how women are. When they see something, they are very visual, just like men, but they're more so visual with their emotions than we are. So the suicide rate has drastically increased. Finding suitable boyfriends or mates has decreased. Now, ain't that something? Now, why is that? Why can't women find a suitable mate? And part of the reason is because of social media. Because social media now gives them a bigger pool. If you lived in a community that only had 500 people and you had 300 girls and 200 boys, the likelihood of you finding somebody within that community is greatly increased versus you got 10 million people who are possessing to be a certain kind of way, are catering to whatever you want, saying whatever you need to hear. So you've dismissed those others. And your world has now expanded, 200-fold. Now the pickings is, in your mind, has increased. So that's when a lot of disrespect, a lot of unwarranted negative behavior is brought about because of that. Now, like I said, we compare ourselves, and that's one of the biggest fallacies of the internet. And a small example of this is something very, very simple. Look, if someone receives a big diamond ring from their partner, and you're watching this on the internet, you see, whether or not you know them or not, they receive a big diamond ring from their partner. Someone else comparing a smaller ring that they receive might influence how they feel about their partner. Oh, Susie got a 10-carat diamond ring. Regardless of what the income levels are, you're making that comparison because all you see is the visual and it's making you feel some kind of way. So your boyfriend or your partner worked hard and could only afford a 1-carat or half-carat ring. You're looking at him, and I know some girls are so, so vain that they'll just throw it back at them and say, I don't want that. That's what the internet has done. So it makes them look at their partners a certain way. And worse than that, it causes them to feel a certain way about themselves. So, in other words, if John gave Susie a 10-carat diamond ring and Calvin gave Kathy a 1-carat diamond ring, she may feel that she's not worth anything, or she's not worth Susie because she received a 10. She's not as worthy as Susie because she received a 10-carat diamond ring. So that influence can greatly influence how we feel about ourselves and, how we feel about our mate. But we know social media has both positive and negative outcomes. While it can be a great way to stay connected with friends and family, and loved ones and find entertainment, it can be a great place for resources and support. It can also distract from face-to-face communication. Now, I'm a people's person, so I love to talk. I love to be around people. So that's one of the things I have to have in my life. But because of that, because we have reduced the FaceTime communication, it can promote unrealistic expectations and facilitate jealousy and insecurity. That's why I pointed out with the diamond ring. You're going to be jealous and mad at Susie because she got a 10-carat diamond ring and she put it on the internet. And Joe over there sleeping, doing the best he can. And you look, while you sleeping, you're looking at your ring, while you got your cell phone looking at Susie's ring. And you thinking about cutting his throat while you sleeping. But anyway, we hope that's not going to happen. But anyway, I'm just making a point and I'm exaggerating because that's how the internet has affected and changed our lives. Now, go ahead, Miss O'Neill. I know y'all got something to say.
I mean, like I gave my stance on it, and yes, it does make it kind of hard for us women, because the people think everything's supposed to be beautiful and perfect in that way that it's supposed to be just perfect, perfect booty, perfect this and perfect that. When in
What?
actuality, they be thinking everything supposed to be perfect, like Lola Falana, I don't know, kind of perfect, beautiful person kind of perfect, but
Oh, okay.
model shape kind of perfect, and so it
Be a
makes us
perfect
look,
booty or something.
huh?
I thought you said you have to have a perfect booty or
I'm
something.
saying they want you to have perfect booty, perfect breast, perfect
Oh,
everything,
oh,
in their eyes, like no imperfections and things like that. And so it makes you look harder at yourself, um, and notice things that you wouldn't notice, and it's funny that you brought that up because they had a thing that they were talking about on social media today. A lady took a picture. Now I'm just gonna tell you, I couldn't believe she was 34, but they said she was 34. But people zoned in on how big her nose was, and
who was
different
that?
things. It was a lady on social media, and she's like a 34-year-old lawyer from like a foreign country somewhere over there, in the motherland. And they talked about, instead of focusing on what she was saying, because she was happy for herself, happy, and beautiful in herself, they zoomed in on her nose and her this and her that. I mean, and it does make you look at things you've never looked at before. I was on TikTok the other day. I just come on. I was gonna do my little live thing, from here, and they have this thing where people jump, request to be on your live. So I'm not really familiar with TikTok. Jumped on the live, and then somebody jumped on and was like, "Oh, you want to battle?" And they start calling me all these names and picking out the imperfections
What?
that they saw. Yeah, that's why you got to be careful. And start picking out everything. Now, my first response was like, okay, but then I had to stop myself because I didn't want to put myself in a position that, be like they were. So yeah, I think that social media above all things is a little bit more harder on women and children, and it makes you focus on standards you shouldn't even be focusing on, and instead of setting reasonable standards and being happy with who you are, it just makes you pay attention to a lot of negative things. And it's people pay more attention to what's negative. You and I had a conversation about that, because I was like, if I had a page and I was just rump shaking and doing all this other stuff,
Yeah.
then I'd have 1,000,005 followers, but because I choose not to conduct myself in that manner, you know, my circle is small, and that's okay. But I just wanted to agree with you on that one point about the women and things like that. So yeah,
And
it's
see,
hard.
here's the thing that's most important, and something that I think we need to pay more attention to. I'm not saying social media are the inventors and those who control it, because they're making gobs and gobs of money, so you ain't going to change that for them.
Right.
I'm saying for people who are like you and I and Keith and our circle of friends who really still have some strong family values and some morals. Because social media forces us to constantly engage in social comparisons. That's what it does. When we see people on there, we compare ourselves. It's just a normal human reaction to things, particularly if they're your age or if they're in your same place where you reside, or if you know them from other places, you're making that comparison. So we are always, when we have that sort of a vice, or when we have that thing that pulls at us, we are often filled with negative emotions, envy, shame, anxiety, or conceit. When we frequently exposed to negative content, when we are frequently exposed, now y'all catch this because this is very important. When we are frequently exposed to negative content, fear and outrage can become the norm. Think about that, and let me say it again. When you are constantly and consistently exposed to negative content, fear and outrage can become the norm. That means we're looking at what's happening in the United States now. You do so many things wrong, or you do so many, and I'm not going to even say it, you do so many things that are out of the ordinary. When you do so many things, it becomes normal. It's easy to accept when you do consistently do things that are unacceptable, things that are new, things that don't make sense. If you do it consistently, it becomes the norm. And what happens? That erodes our sense of goodness and shared humanity. So when all lawlessness just takes over, then that becomes the norm. We're no longer concerned with what rules and laws and goodwill and morals are. When it becomes normal for things to be dysfunctional, things to be out of the ordinary, we become very acceptable. Now, here's what I learned when I was in the military, right? Leaders and lower enlisted people, there's a psychology to how we engage with people who have limited information and people who have more information. So, and sometimes you treat people who don't have access to that information way worse worse than you treat the people who have access to the information. It has nothing to do with their intelligence. It has nothing to do with their position. It has to do with whether or not you accept that person and trust them with the information. So I learned that when you go climb up the ladder, the leadership ladder, you really understand how things work. When you're at the bottom, you don't understand it. You follow orders and do as you're told. Now, why do I say that? We got social media that can guide us any way that they want us to go. If it becomes popular and enough people pay attention to it, or it's spread throughout the internet on all major and popular platforms, it's going to influence what you do, whether or not it's true or not. Now let that marinate for a minute. Because we have to be careful with our children because they don't know any better. They can't decipher truth from fiction. They don't know what to look for. They don't know who's who. And they're blind in certain situations. So when we deal with this social media thing, we have to truly understand that there are some influences out there that don't mean us any good. And there are influences out there that have a different agenda. Now, Masonically, when we speak of those things, we know that our purpose is for the good. So if we conceal information and never reveal it to whoever, outsiders or people who are not Masons or Eastern Stars, it doesn't have the intent to do anything wicked or evil or against the greater good of humanity. But we have that sort of influence through the internet. And as Keith said earlier, some of the stuff that's out there and the way that it works is by design. So we have to be careful. Social media can negatively influence people, including inadequacy about life, right? Let me do this. I went out for a minute. I had to put the little puzzle in the little square for it. Chop this off. But anyway,
Square.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you go over an hour, it'll make sure that you're still alive or you're still on or something. But
We still alive.
oh yeah. So so social media can negatively influence people to feel inadequate about their lives, their appearance, the fear of missing out, depression, and anxiety. It can cause all of that. It causes isolation, self-absorption, and cyberbullying. Even if you're aware of manipulation.
Oh yeah, that make the bullies real. That make the bullies real brave. Real brave. And it's so sad. Not even just kids. Are affected that way, but adults too. Have been affected in those ways, and it's so sad that you would do those things across a screen. You know what I'm saying? Or that something across a screen can affect you that way. We never think about, how human interaction, which is supposed to be the best thing, like you said, all five of your senses, touch, tasting, and feeling people and all that kind of stuff, it could turn out to be something. Well, I don't know. I added a part in there that you probably didn't add in, but
I
anyway,
know what you meant, though.
but anyway, but it's so sad that God put us here for the human interaction, put us here for one another, and the very thing that He put us here for and to do, we take advantage of it and we use it and we abuse it and things like that. So I mean, how do you expect people to treat you well when you don't treat yourself well, or when you don't treat others well? That's just crazy.
Oh yeah. Hey, but see, here's the other thing, DeJoy and Keith. We know that even if we know, check this out, even if we know that a post has been manipulated, let's say we know that something is not true, it
Right.
still can make us feel insecure about our own lives. Think about this. When you see something, as they say, once you see something, you can't unsee it, right? So
That
when
part.
you see somebody put something out there and it's negative, it says, okay, all women that live in Decatur, that they know that we know that they poor. We know that that's not true. But I guarantee you, once you start seeing that so many times, you could be making, I ain't gonna say $1 million because but you could be doing pretty well for yourself. But if you see that post too many signs, it's gonna have you questioning whether or not you're poor or not. You're gonna start asking, well, that might be true. Ooh, I wonder how much Susie next door make. I know so and so, they're driving a Lamborghini. How much are they making? I'm telling you, and the information, we know it can be false. So that's crazy, but it happens. Some researchers think that exposure to social media can overstimulate the brain's reward center, and when the stimulation becomes excessive, that's when it becomes addictive. Let me say that again. Researchers say that exposure to social media can overstimulate the brain's reward center. Y'all know we built on punishment and reward. That's just part of our anatomy. We are born that way. We look to be rewarded when we do something good. We look to be punished when we do something bad. Even if we get away with it and don't get punished, we look for it. But when that stimulation becomes excessive, that's when social media becomes an addiction. So we have to be careful, particularly with our children, to make sure that we monitor. Now, once they get of age, ain't nothing you can do. But while they're under your care and your discipline, we need to make sure that we provide a balance between social media and real life activities. Now, I think Miss O'Neill said it, that we have a lot of information out there, and there's some information that's reliable and some that's not so reliable. Regardless, one of the major factors in using social media is to ensure that the source is credible. That's where we get misinformation. Man, I've seen so many times, and I don't know why people do this. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, where people say somebody died or was unalive yesterday. And you go back and you check a credible source and we know it's fake. But why even put it out there? That's crazy to me. You don't have anything better to do with your time. You're using all your brain cells and that you're burning up anyway to do dumb, crazy stuff that makes no sense. I guess that clickbait is what's most important. All right.
I mean, but like Keith said, I know we kind of, wrapping things up, but
Right.
I mean, things are put out there, like you say, it's clickbait, and that's things that attract you to something. I hate when you see those posts and you click on it and you think you're gonna read one story and it takes you to somewhere else. So we just have to be mindful of those things that it's all put up there for a reason to stop us from really being aware of what's really going on. That we're really losing ourselves within bad things about technology. Technology was never supposed to be used in this manner. When they created Facebook, Facebook
Neither
was
was the
actually,
atom bomb.
huh?
I said neither was the atom bomb.
Yeah, it wasn't, and it was supposed to be. I ain't even got time to play with you. I'm just trying to tell you the blue moon getting to me now. Don't be playing with nobody. Y'all, he be playing too much, y'all. That's something you don't know about him. He a little joker. And sometimes he be laughing because he the only one to get his little jokes until you think about it later and then you get the joke. So just stop it. Go to timeout. Go to timeout. But what I was saying before he got his little jokes on was that Facebook was just, invented, supposed to be a way where you can find your family and things like that and connect. That's what it was supposed to be about. But it's turned into so many other things past the connection. And so the app TikTok, that was really supposed to be an app where you can go on and find things, how to do it and what to do and things like that. But now it's turned into something else. I mean, hence here we are. But I'm just saying. So you just gotta be aware and look at why things are really there. Just look behind the facade.
Yeah, I agree, and you said that very eloquently. And I didn't mean. I apologize. I shouldn't have made my
You
little
can't
joke.
even hold that laugh together right now. You trying. You gonna let it out. You gonna let it out. Just quit it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, with all sincerity and seriousness, uh, social media has some good qualities and it has some bad qualities. That's with anything in life. There's going to be pros and cons. Now, but the only thing that I caution people about in this particular arena is that so many things are anonymous. There's so many people that can get a message with a click of a button. The reach is so vast that it's almost scary. So we have to make sure that we employ certain ways to keep us safe. We have to find sources that are credible so that the information that we're receiving is credible and we're not being manipulated or influenced to do something that we wouldn't ordinarily do. All right? Particularly with AI. I mean, listen, think about it. Your favorite person, your favorite rapper, your favorite celebrity or politicians or whatever, if they create Barack Obama and he gets on the TV and there's a call for war or there's something that he says, stop shopping at Walmart. I used this example one time before when Michael Jackson was living. He was so powerful and had so much influence. If he would have got on a national or international stage and said, stop shopping at this particular place, do you know that business probably would have went out of business overnight? So with AI, what happens if that individual is not real and we don't have any source to verify whether or not it's legitimate or not? The influence is great. So that's why we have to be careful and we have to have protocols in place so that we understand what's real, what's live, and what's Memorex, so that we can govern our lives and our actions accordingly. Even relationships. relationships, online relationships have vastly replaced physical relationships. You know, and, hey, those days of boy meet girl, you know, and go to a movie and that kind of stuff, that stuff is over. When these individuals get involved with relationships at school or wherever at the a supermarket, what's the first thing they do? Hey, put your number in my phone. You know, or send
I hope
me.
they don't be saying it like that. They ain't got no swag whatsoever.
I'm
That
just
is not how
saying.
you supposed to say it. You could have used a better example than that. Looking over there with your little shirt on,
Look,
all
I'm just saying, I get my information off the internet too. I've seen guys just walk up to them, hey, put your number in my phone, you know, and then you got one guy, he could be with a girl, you could be with a girl, and they're going up the escalator, he rubs on the face and says she's just beautiful. Man,
what
I'm
the hell
telling
you be looking at? You be looking at them little skits because somebody do that in real life, they will get
I
the one,
know.
two, five punch.
But I know there's skits, DeJoya. But what I'm saying to you, as I just said earlier, we can know that it's fake. But like you just said, they're gonna do that to the wrong person, and they're gonna get blown away from it. You know, but somebody might think that is real, right?
You see these knuckles right here. I know they look small. I know they look small in their picture, but if y'all think about
We don't
doing it,
need
you
to.
gonna get it.
Every time you come on here, you always talking about knuckling somebody.
I did with the frying pan last week. This week it knuckle. Knuck if you buck,
Same
cause I be
thing.
walking with that.
Same
Play
thing.
my theme music. Shoot.
All right. All right, well, I'm getting ready to close out. Keith, you got anything you want to add real quick, Ross?
Nah, you covered it all. I'm just bugging off the Nuck if you buck. She take it back, man. Nuck if you buck. Nuck if
Okay.
you buck. Yeah, what?
Oh,
We was vibing off that
hey,
out here.
the Georgia from Decatur, where's Greater, man. So she ain't nothing
Yeah,
Southeast Atlanta, baby. Southeast Atlanta.
great,
yeah,
great.
Great look,
we was.
Grady made me, East Lake has raised me. Okay, I'm good
Yeah, I
now.
think the biggest thing is you crazy. I think it's all about like what we said. You just gotta use your head.
Yeah,
And you got to realize when you're being controlled. But what you said is true. The younger people, their minds are still developing. So it's up to the adults to protect them. But some of the adults, they're caught up in it, so they can't protect them. So
exactly.
it's very, very tricky nowadays. And you're right. That they had an issue. It was one of the magazines. I don't know if it was Vogue or another one. They were under some fire a month or two back because the models that were actually in the magazine were not real people. They were AI models, but it looked like real
Well,
human beings
shut the
in the
back
picture.
door.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? You now look. Now I know
yeah,
we gotta go, y'all. But let me just say this.
yeah,
I know we gotta go, but that sells. That's just like they say
exactly.
sex sells. You know that they trying to sell a product. They don't want. You know what? I mean, this is crazy. So when I see people and they have a scar in their face, or like I got a little thing, right here in my eyebrow, a little mole. Even though the little lady at the eyebrow place always be trying to shave it off, she gonna have kill me. But I mean, you know what? She I have to tell her, hey, that's a mole. Wait a minute, that won't get my eyebrow done no more. Eddie Monster in effect. But I was gonna say it's so sad that they want you to be just that beautiful, just that perfect. That they go through that because they know if you see it on something just that perfect that you'll buy it more.
Yeah,
Something just that perfect that you'll buy it more. You
yeah.
know, all those subliminals they got going on. But they were for real though, y'all, about the lady in the eyebrow stove. That's why I can't play with them no more.
Hey, they tried to shave your mole off.
Did you? I'm like, hey, that ain't no hairball. That's a mole. Oh, I tell we. No, you're not. Ugh.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, look. Yeah, it's a serious thing. Social media is a very serious dynamic, and it's no way that we can get around. We have to adapt to it, and we have to use it for the betterment and the good of the majority of people. You're going to always have people who misuse anything that's created. That's just the nature of man. Some are evil, and evil, even when they aren't evil, they do some things that they wouldn't ordinarily do if they're influenced by the wrong thing. So, anyway, in conclusion, although social media is very entertaining and is the go-to, the entire world is on social media and the internet in some form or fashion. It's important to have that balance. Listen, women have even changed their aspirations toward relationships and worldly activities. Women, they aren't even looking for husbands and boyfriends and to get married and all of these things anymore. There was a time that was one of the things on your to-do list, on your pecking order, to find a mate that you can grow old with and all that. I'm telling you, if you look at the statistics, I'm not sharing them here because it takes too much time, but if you look at the statistics, they aren't even interested anymore. And that's sad to me because that goes against the nature of why we all were created. And on the flip side, men have become more comfortable with less human contact. Man, when I went to high school and when I went to middle school and college, man, you couldn't keep me away from the opposite sex.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna let all them speak for themselves because if we go together, we go together. We're not breaking up. We not breaking up.
No, Miss O'Neill. What I'm saying is the dynamics from the
Yeah,
statistics.
I'm listening to you.
So they're saying, and I believe it, because you don't see women actively pursuing or looking toward matrimony. Particularly here in Atlanta. In Atlanta, man, ain't no. I guess they say half the population is, that way or whatever the case may be. So they've kind of given up, and I don't know what they do anymore. I don't know what they do anymore. But
I don't know because you know what? I just look at Sugar right off the bat, be like, hey, I'm on a mission. We on the countdown. So I'm just saying now, y'all got to put it out there. And if they not about it, just go on.
Yeah, but just think about that. Women have changed their aspirations toward relationships. They don't look for it anymore.
And that's true. That's true, really and truly. But that ain't everybody.
Crazy to me. And men have become more comfortable with less human contact. They don't care.
Yeah. The standards have changed, And on a serious note, that's a sad thing. Just to know that people have lessened their standards, whether it's a man or a woman. Why would you want somebody you could just shack up with? I mean, and there's other ways, don't get it twisted. I know that I joke around and things like that. I'd rather have a committed person that's committed in my life versus you giving me a ring to say you committed and you really ain't. We could talk about that later. You know what I mean? So I think that, people have just gotten away from just the idea of commitment and just being there for one another. Because now people think that I hear a lot of young people talking and I hear a lot of older people talking at the water cooler at work. Because y'all know I work in Dunwoody and I work in Brookhaven. So y'all know I hear some stories. You know what I'm saying? And they choose to sideswipe the commitment part. They're just like, oh, well, my husband's here and he just here and he pay the bills and whatever. No, if I gotta live with you like that, we ain't living. I could pay my own. I could struggle and pay my own little bills. You got me feeling like I'm doing something strange for a little change at night just to keep you and keep the commitment. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Now if you wanted that, you can put that out there and let me decide. Like leave my money on the nightstand, but we ain't agree on that part, But when you put all those things into, your relationship and into your home and into your family life, one that doesn't create a good family life for the kids and teach them the good things. But that's what relationships are all about now. What I can, it's like a barter and exchange. I told y'all last week. Good for one of my sisters told me that they brother told them your marriage should be like a business transaction, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Who does that? But I mean, it's
Right.
just saying, okay, I'm done.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got that off your chest.
I had to. I just want to get that out there.
But like I said, women have changed their aspirations toward relationships, and men don't seem to mind at all. And because of this trend, what it can do, it can alienate us from people, personal relationships, and reality. See, that's the fear that we must all take into consideration. When we get involved or allow too much of social media to influence our lives, there's going to come a time where it's not going to be good for any of us
Right.
because the reach is too vast. The ability to be anonymous is too great. So whenever you can act out of being anonymous, you don't really worry about consequences. You feel what I'm saying? So we have to understand that although social media is a great place, it's a great world to live in, and there are some great opportunities, we have to be vigilant. Vigilant when we seek to understand it and discipline our children in how to use it, and we have to be effective because if we're not effective, there are going to be some things we or they are going to be exposed to that goes against everything we believe.
Did you see what Callie said before you shut off? I mean, cause your shut off game be strong. But she said that the internet has made women feel like we don't need men. Um
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
what
that
I'm
but yeah,
saying.
that's the truth. But I'm just tell you, Callie, now, listen to Big Sis, cause I don't say that like I be like, I need you. How
Hey,
I
but
I need I
overwhelming.
need I need the male interaction. I actually enjoy going to my partner and saying, "Hey, how do you do this?" or "How do I do this?" I actually saying, "Can you do this for me? Can you do that?" I mean, but that's really gone these
Yeah, but
days.
see, you're talking about a minority of people. What Callie is talking about, and this is the truth, because if you take a look at the statistics,
Now
that's
I'm agreeing with
exactly
her. I'm agreeing with her now.
yeah, that's
I'm agreeing.
exactly what it says, and it's sad because now you're losing the personal relationship. You're losing how to develop a relationship. So
Hmm.
if everything seems to be perfect on the internet, anytime you have an issue, you go to the internet for resolution. Then your skills to resolve conflict, to know how to deal with the opposite sex, how to deal with people from a perspective of being mature, you don't gain that experience. So
Yeah.
it's I tell my children and everybody I come in contact with, listen, everybody's into the chat GPT, everybody's into the messaging where I'm typing something. Listen, you can't show your feelings through those words. And people do not feel your words through a text. I don't care how many exclamation points, yeah, you mad. I don't care how many smiling faces, okay, you happy. When I get that interaction, I can really feel that you're happy, or I can feel that you're upset. And that's that human interaction that's necessary for development and is necessary to sustain life. If we don't touch, feel, see,
There
hug,
you go with that junk again. Now, come on now. You gonna have
and
them tune in
share,
on this part gonna sound X-rated.
yeah,
He don't mean it bad, y'all.
and share
Jeez.
our experiences. If we don't do that, then the human dynamic is removed. There's no way that you can have a relationship with someone without the human interaction. You can do all of that over the net and laugh and joke and FaceTime and all that. All that's good. But sooner or later, that human interaction has to take priority over all of that. And if you become addicted to social media and all the FaceTime and all the chat GPT and all the Googles and
I know you ain't gonna say that about Chat GPT when you told everybody you use that on a regular basis.
oh yeah, I do. But listen, the difference between listen, let me explain. The difference between me is I know how to balance my life. So a lot of people don't know how to do that. A lot of people and I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. I just know what's important in my life and I know what my values are. And I live by a strict moral code. So I'm not going to take any of this stuff serious. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, because you got a Bentley and I got a Volkswagen, that ain't going to make me feel like I'm less important than you. And because
I can say something though. And I'm going to let you have it because I told you the Blue Moon had got to me a little bit. That Chat GPT, whatever it's called, it worked. It's the best things. It works, y'all. Y'all need to put that app on your phone. It
I
works.
agree 100%. It will give you any solution you want. But listen, now they got something where I think I saw on the news where a kid killed himself or went and shot up a school because
it told him how to do it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's my point. That kind of danger lurks behind the scene. And so we have to be very careful. But anyway, we're over time. Listen, everybody, I knew this was going to be a great discussion. We love that you all came. We hope to see y'all next Wednesday, same time, same place. So until that time, au revoir, adieu, and off the same.
In other words, he's saying bye in American. Bye.
Bye in English.